thanks for clicking on this video about Robert Griffin III, but before I get into it, I want to let you know that today's episode is sponsored by SeatGeek. Most of us know what SeatGeek is, however if you haven't used it already, what you can do is you can enter in my promo code JKS and you'll save $20 on your first purchase. That's actually a pretty good deal, because I was looking at it and there's some baseball games that are going for like $10 to $15. I saw an Orioles game that's for $15 when they play the Padres in a couple of weeks. So if you use my promo code and also then buy those tickets, you're basically looking at only spending $10 for 2 tickets, which is a pretty great deal. And it's cheaper in some other places. I saw some race tickets for like $13, so that means you only be spending $6 to get 2 tickets, so it's a pretty great deal. And also for everyone who uses my code, they're going to kick back $10 my way. So basically it's a great way to both save money and also help support this channel. If you like this channel and like what I'm doing here, it's a great way to help support me, and I'd really appreciate it. And it's not just sports too. SeatGeek has a lot of concerts and stand-up comedy on there. I was actually looking at it earlier today. It's a pretty great way to see if there are any concerts you're interested in or any stand-up comedy in your area that you can go potentially see. All you have to do is click on the link in the description below and it'll take you right there. But anyways, back to your scheduled video. What a weird career Robert Griffin III has had so far. He went from rookie sensation to being laughed out of the league, and now he's sort of back in the league as a backup role. He's definitely had an odd career, and he's definitely a very hard guy to rank. However, I have him right here at number 40. And also, just because this is the first video of this, I should probably break down exactly what my criteria is for ranking these quarterbacks. I'm not going to mention it on each one of these videos, but I will put it in the description on each one of these videos so people can figure it out on their own. But basically, my criteria is pretty simply just how good of a quarterback are you right now? How good of a quarterback are you today? Basically, if I could get a quarterback on a 1-year rental for this next year, which one would I choose? And there's 39 that I have higher than Robert Griffin III, but not 40 higher than I have than him, and here's why. First things first, kind of to talk about Robert Griffin III, you do have to go back to his Washington Redskins years. Because to see what went wrong, first you have to talk about what went right. And really it was him running this college-style offense that was able to succeed in the NFL. It was a lot of plays like this. What Washington's doing here is they're going to have a wide receiver and tight end both go out to block Saints right over there. And this now means that the real Saint to watch is going to be that Saint edge rusher right over there. What you're really going to look for is to see which direction that Saint is going to go. If he goes to play to run, then basically Robert Griffin III is going to keep it himself and run to the top half of the screen. However, if he runs to the top half of the screen, then Griffin can simply just hand it off and allow the halfback to run straight at the middle. That's the way this play is supposed to work. Either it allows Griffin to run to the top half of the screen, or it basically takes away a defender and gives you a numbers advantage in the trenches. It's not a concept you'll never see. This is what the 49ers did with Colin Kaepernick. It's what the Ravens are doing now with Lamar Jackson. It's something that can work out very well, especially when you have a good running quarterback. And so now look at what happens. Basically, what does that Saints edge rusher do? Well, he's going to run to the bottom half of the screen. It looks like he's getting blocked right now, but he actually isn't at all. What he did was he actually initiated contact with that tackle because he saw the tackle was moving out to block another Saints player. He was going to get left unblocked, but he just basically went into a block to try to free up a Saints linebacker. However, that's totally okay for Washington because this isn't just a straight up run, it's an option play. All Griffin has to do is keep it himself and run up to the top half of the screen, and he's able to easily pick up some decent yards on that play. When you hear of an RPO, that's basically how it is in its purest form. Either a quarterback should be able to run to the outside and pick up 7 or 8 yards, or you should just be able to run it and then have a numbers advantage in the trenches. That's the whole way it's supposed to work. But running this type of situation doesn't just end there. Obviously, that's not the play you're going to run every single time. And because you do run it often enough, this can now open up plenty of other situations. Like on this one, it's going to be play action to the top half of the screen, but I want you to take a look at that Saints player right over there. Basically, take a look at what happens once this ball is snapped. He takes another step in and is nowhere near his assigned man. He's doing this for 2 reasons, essentially. 1, they run the ball a lot, but 2, because Robert Griffin III could end up trying to run around the tackle, and then he would be the guy who has to make that tackle. That's something you saw in that last play, was to have RG3 try to run around and try to get around the edge and then pick up some yards. But because he stepped closer to the top half of the screen, and he didn't step anywhere closer to the line of scrimmage, this is not going to give plenty of time for a Washington Redskins offensive lineman to run over and make a block. So all this is just a basic wide receiver screen, and now becomes more effective because it gives that tackle more time to run over and make a block than it would just in a typical wide receiver screen. That's kind of the advantage of running this type of system, is that it basically opens things up. Basically, the whole idea in football in general is that no matter what coverage a defense runs, there's going to be a weakness to it. And if you're a good offense that can beat you in any way, all you have to do is figure out what kind of defense they're running, and you can really attack that type of defense. But when you have an RPO system, this actually opens up things even more. It means that opposing defenders have to play to run more aggressively, and that means that they can open up things a lot more in all phases of the game. Like if you do heavily focus on stopping the run, then something like this can happen. It's going to be a cover 3 zone, and really cover 2 or cover 3 is what you'd want to have against an RPO. It gives a lot of guys in that midfield, and it is going to be zone coverage, so there will always be a defender in the area to try to make a tackle. But this one is not going to be an RPO, this is going to be just straight up play action. It'll be a fake run in that direction, and it'll have 2 routes running over there. But one thing you'll notice is look at how hard these Saints players are going to bite on this play action. I mean, at this point, they're all pretty much at the line of scrimmage or past the line of scrimmage. scrimmage. All 4 of those guys who are in charge of covering the midfield are basically behind the line of scrimmage. So this now means that once the play develops, now RG3 will have a player open. However, he does now have to make the throw. When he cuts over to the middle of the field, he is going to get very open, but Griffin still has to be able to hit him. But RG3 is easily going to make a great throw, and then the receiver does a good job of avoiding a tackle after the fact, and it leads to a touchdown. That's kind of what made Griffin so lethal in that RPO type system, is that he really could do all phases of it. I mean, he clearly could run with the ball, which is the most important phase. He could make good reads, and he was more than capable of making throws down the field if he had to. I mean, to use a recent example, that was kind of why the Ravens struggled against the Chargers in their playoff game last season. Because Los Angeles, despite having many defensive backs out there, are making a very conscious effort to try to stop the run. So this now should mean that trying to make deep passes should be a lot easier. However, for whatever reason, Baltimore just didn't call a lot of deep passes. Maybe they just didn't trust Lamar Jackson in making those throws, but really that's what you have to do in an RPO situation. The end goal isn't to just always be able to run RPOs. Your end goal is to basically try to open things up and then take advantage of your opponent's weaknesses. To be a good quarterback in the system, you have to be able to run the ball and you have to be able to throw the ball deep. But part of the problem when you can do that is running in this type of system means you're going to be more likely to get hurt. So when a team has a quarterback who can do both of those things, oftentimes the team won't want him to get hurt, so they won't have him run this offense, even though they might be very good at it. I mean, Patrick Mahomes would probably be great at an RPO, but why would you want to risk hurting him just because you can get a little bit more yards maybe in the regular season? And of course, you could consider RG3 a cautionary tale of that, as he definitely has had his fair share of injuries. But also, injuries don't tell the whole story. There was more reasons why RG3 kind of fell off the map a little bit. And it also wasn't just his fault. Like, take a look at this play, for example. This was the following season when defenses had a full year of tape to really study up on RG3. He's going up against a good 49ers team, and this is what's going to happen. It's going to be very similar to that play I showed you earlier. It's going to be play action to the bottom half of the screen, and once again, it is going to be a screen pass to the top half of the screen. The only slight difference this time is now it'll be the plus receiver getting the pass instead of the slot receiver. But anyways, you know, same effect. The slot receiver will move out to block that 49er right over there, and the tackle has to move out to block that 49er over there. However, unlike last time, now there's plenty of tape on Washington, and plenty of defenses know, okay, this is something they'd like to run. So after the ball was snapped, that 49er does a very good job of not getting fooled by this play. And not just that, but there's another 49er edge rusher who is very aware that they like to run screen passes, and he's also going to break up to the top half of the screen. The receiver ended up just dropping the ball. However, if he caught it, he would have had much less room to run. The 49ers players would have easily been able to get over there for just about a gain of 1 or 2 yards. With enough tape out on him, he definitely became not quite as good of a player as he once was. When teams started to realize exactly what the Redskins were doing, it became a lot easier to slow him down. Like on this one, it's going to be a cover 3 zone, and they're going to run play action to the bottom half of the screen, and it'll have those 2 receivers right there run those 2 routes right there. But once again, as you notice, look at how good of a job San Francisco did of being able to play that type of offense. That's Griffin's main read on this one. That's where he was really going to try to look to throw the ball to. However, this isn't a huge window. Maybe he could try to force something through there, but there is a 49er very close, and that could be a dangerous pass. He also has a couple of other secondary reads, however, neither of those guys are really open either. And granted, it should be mentioned that this is obviously a very good 49ers defense, but that's kind of why I'm showing it. When he goes up against more talented teams, it becomes much tougher for him to succeed. That's another problem this type of system has, is you really do have to have all 11 guys be very good on offense. And offense is already such a team sport that requires 11 players to play well, but it's magnified even more in an RPO situation, and in a play like this, where the defense does a better job of winning their matchups, you know, he scrambles around and still picks up some yards. However, just the play didn't work out the way they wanted it to. And like on a play like this, for example, Washington is going to send a man in motion, and it looks like a San Francisco 49er just doesn't realize what's going on. That's his assigned man, but just was kind of messed up here. Because he was turned around facing the wrong way, it takes another 49er to let him know, hey, that guy's getting motion, go over to the other side of the field. However, that's actually going to be a disguise. That's not what's happening at all. They're basically just rotating positions. It's a cover 3 zone, however, they don't want Washington to realize that's what's going on. So when Washington has those routes, that means that route right there would be a great route to run against man coverage, but it's only an okay route to run against zone coverage. It's designed to beat man, and here's why. Because once this play develops, look at what's going on right now. Griffin's receiver is now cutting, however, the defensive back who's in that area doesn't have to worry about him potentially running a go route or anything like that. His sole purpose on this play is to make sure he takes away the zone that's right there in the flat, so now if the receiver does cut into the flat, that's when he knows to cut in. If this was just man coverage, he wouldn't be able to run in, however, because it was zone, he's able to easily run in and make the play. And so that's why I'm kind of bringing up this play, because in just a standard situation, he isn't necessarily the best quarterback. Really, if Griffin's scrambling ability went away, he wouldn't be a successful NFL player. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I mean, every guy has something they rely on. I think Cam Newton's a tremendous player, but a huge part of that is because of his running ability. Griffin doesn't necessarily make the best reads, and he isn't necessarily the best thrower. I mean, those are just 2 straight up facts about him. Griffin does have a tendency to get fooled from disguises, and he isn't the best thrower. So that's kind of why things took a bit of a dip in his last couple years in Washington. However, while he took a dip those couple of seasons, he took a complete nosedive when he went to the Cleveland Browns. And honestly, a huge part of it was because that's historically probably the worst team ever. I mean, it's a team that won 1 game in 2 years. Definitely pretty far from a good team. And he really had a lack of help. Like, if we take a look at this one, it's going to be a play action, and look at how, his running ability definitely impacted this play. They do have a go route in that direction, but notice how long Griffin has in this pocket here. I mean, because it was only a 3-man rush, he has essentially all day, and he can really take as long as he wants. So Griffin, doing one of the things he can do well, is going to try to take a deep shot here. However, this Cleveland Browns receiver isn't necessarily going to do a great job of doing what he should do on this one. I mean, despite that throw going incredibly far, he doesn't do a great job of essentially just boxing out that defender and making sure that he's in front of him. It kind of becomes like rebounding in basketball. You want to get in front of the guy. However, that Browns receiver just wasn't able to do it on that play. He didn't get a lot of help on this one, and this next play will be another perfect example of not getting a lot of help. It's going to be a flea flicker, which I do have to say, it's a bit of a curious choice to have a flea flicker at the 1-yard line. But I'm not one to question the genius mind of Hugh Jackson, so we'll just go with it. After the flea flicker, they're going to have 2 receivers basically just run straight downfield as far as they can. That's the way this play is designed to work. And so now, as you see, Griffin has a bit of pressure, but not too much pressure. Really, the play didn't work as designed the way you'd hope it would. The idea behind a flea flicker is that a defensive back says, oh, it's just a run play, I can take it off. And then a receiver can simply just run and have a huge advantage on that play. That's the way it's designed to work. But as of right now, that didn't entirely happen. However, there still is a Brown who basically is in a 50-50 situation. It's maybe a bit of a dangerous pass, however, it also is the way this play is designed to work, so Griffin is going to try him. Now this time, unlike last time, that receiver is going to do a very good job of making sure he stays in front of those 2 defenders, so good work, right? Well, not exactly. He totally misread the play, and despite him stopping well short, the ball actually goes over his head and lands up being intercepted. I actually think I remember, it might have been Come On Man, I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember I was watching something where people were kind of criticizing Griffin for throwing it into triple coverage there. But for one thing, that's the way that play was designed to work, and for the other thing, that wasn't actually triple coverage until the Browns stopped. It was one-on-one coverage and a 50-50 ball. And listen, when you're the 1-in-15 Browns, you might as well take some chances and try to win a game. But speaking of winning a game, this video is not entitled The Tragic Case of RG3. This is the top 40 quarterback rankings, and there's a reason he's made the list. There are 2 quarterbacks who have won a game with Hugh Jackson as head coach when he was with the Browns. It was Baker Mayfield and RG3. Those are the only 2 guys. I mean, before Baker Mayfield, the most recent Browns quarterback to have won a game was RG3. And also before that, the most recent Browns quarterback to win a game was Johnny Manziel, which kind of goes to show how bad of a few years they had. But RG3 is not some washed up has-been. He really isn't. He probably got a little bit too hyped in his first year, and probably now that the book is out on him, he definitely kind of came back down to earth a little bit. And I do think injuries have taken its toll on him, but this guy can still play. Like, let's take a look at that game that was the 1-in-31. It's once again an option play where Griffin could hand it off to the halfback right there, or he could keep it himself and run to the bottom half of the screen. So that Chargers player will be the one guy that you're going to want to take a look at here. And he actually isn't really going to play this one that poorly. I mean, he takes a couple of steps in, but he's not necessarily going all out to try to stop the run. He's prepared for both, but he is a little bit closer to the top half of the screen than maybe he would like, so Griffin is going to try to run around him. Especially because if he can get past him, there now is going to be a gap in between them that he can try to run and get some more yards. Not a huge gap, but something he could try to pick up some yards on. But look at how good of a job he's going to do of both faking the handoff and then running very quickly to try to pick up as much yards as possible. It's simple, it's basic, but RG3 was still able to be successful in that play. Perhaps he's not the type of guy that you can plug and play into any system and he'll be successful, but when he's in a certain situation, he can at the very least be successful in it. Like on this one, the San Diego Chargers are running a cover 3 zone. San Diego Chargers, that just feels nice to say, doesn't it? But anyways, the key Cleveland Brown to watch will be that Cleveland Brown right over there, who is going to try to run in between those defenders who are in the midfield and those defenders who are deep. And because of the play action, I mean, look at that Charger right over there. He ran way far in. Because of Griffin's running ability, they had to be aware of potential run, and now Cleveland had a receiver very far open right over there. Griffin was then able to make the throw, and they were able to get completion and a first down out of it. Although the receiver did kind of run around, but they got the first down, and that's what matters. Granted, the only reason they won was because of a couple key missed field goals late, and also in classic RG3 fashion, he did get injured in this game. But when Cody Kessler came on in relief, he didn't put any points on the board. It was all RG3. So that's why I have RG3 on the list, is because he can still be successful. The reason I couldn't have him any higher is because I don't know if he can be successful in any system. I do think you have to kind of build a system around him. However, he is in that system with Baltimore, so who knows? He can still be successful. I actually think if Lamar Jackson does go down, God forbid, this means that RG3 could definitely at least keep the team afloat for a few games. And who knows, could RG3 go on a potential Nick Foles type run and have a deep Super Bowl run? I mean, I wouldn't bet on it, but I wouldn't say it's impossible either. So that's number 40, and keep watching as I plan on posting these every day, so just keep checking back every day and there should be a new one. And also, I'm sure some of you will hate some of my selections. That's the whole point of making a list, is some people are supposed to agree and some people are supposed to disagree. But just keep in mind, it's all about fun. So let me know in the comments below who you maybe would have on your list, if you think RG3 should be higher or should be lower. And keep checking back, because let's be honest, this is basically just an excuse to make 40 videos about quarterbacks. And to fill up the off season, because we still have like 3 more months before football season starts. But anyways, as always, thanks for watching.